Welcome to Chaos Podcast. I am your host, Terry Lynn. I am a virtual assistant, bookkeeper, and international business strategist. I love leveling up, creating strategies, and thinking outside of the box, especially with serial entrepreneurs because we are impacting the world with new innovations, community collaboration, and global technology. We will discuss strategies that stifle mental chaos so that you can create habits and outstanding success. Right here on Chaos. Krista, thank you for being here. We're live on Facebook.
All right.
And LinkedIn. I love doing lives, even though it's just a podcast. I upload it to YouTube too, so we're gonna have lots and lots of fun. Miss Wise Words That Matter. Where in the world did you get that? First of all, let me introduce you because I'm just excited to have you. So I'm just going to jump right in because I am so curious about your title. Krista Giannak. Giannak. Writer and PR professional. You uncover hidden stories that get businesses and experts notice so they stop leaving business opportunities behind. You do blogs and bios and press releases and PR pitches. You are inspired by your personal and professional journey. And we're going to talk about that because we want all the details. As I say, if you've listened to my podcast, we want all the dirt. How are you tonight? And thank you for coming. Welcome.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So tell me about Wise Words That Matter.
Sure. So Wise Words That Matter is my writing and PR business. And I came up with the expression because at one point I just used a tagline, and it was just kind of a combination of different things. Like people talk about wise words, people talk about words that matter. And I kind of had used those slogans at one point or another, and I just put them together because I created that business back in 2012.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Just slapped them together, huh?
I did. I did. I said, yeah, this is going to be, I wanted to make sure I had a unique business name that nobody else had.
And it's interesting because no matter how you think about the phrase, it's all true. Words matter. Wise words matter even better. And when you put wise words in PR, it really matters. So that was a good slap together. I like it a lot. So you've been in business since 2012?
I have.
And why? Why did you get into business?
Well, basically, I was in business because all my life I've been a writer of some kind. I've always had a story in my head ever since I was a kid, and my teachers talked about. Sometimes they liked how I would think outside the box, sometimes not so much. And I wrote my first press release in high school, and I had all kinds of different things that I did. I worked with a nonprofit doing PR. I worked for local newspapers that got bought out. I had different things happened. And I realized that while my phone wasn't ringing, I realized that I needed to go after the opportunities myself, that I couldn't just wait for the phone to ring. I had to go after opportunities because I had been really depressed at one point around 2010 or so when my phone wasn't ringing and nothing was really happening. And ultimately I realized, well, gee, I can either sit around here and do nothing, or I can go out there and do something and try, because ultimately I'm worth it. And I realized that if I didn't try, if I didn't do something, then I was just going to be stuck in the same place. I kind of hit that rock bottom to some degree. I mean, I know a lot of people have worse rock bottoms, but I hit a low point, and I realized that I wasn't going to get any better unless I went out there and changed something. So when I change things, then I have hope, because if I'm making a change, then there's always hope that something new is going to happen.
What change did you make that made the most difference?
I went out there.
You went out there. You went to get it, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't wait for the phone to ring. I
Pound the
went out there.
pavement.
I started networking. I was, at first I was very afraid of networking because I am blind. And so I was afraid that people would see my cane and they wouldn't see me. They wouldn't see me, the writer, the PR professional, me, even in the skier in my spare time. They didn't see,
Skier in your spare time.
yeah, that they might not see that. They would see the girl, the blind girl with the cane. Oh no, and I didn't want that. And so for the longest time, I didn't go out there and network, and I didn't talk about my blindness in a career format. But what I realized was the same thing that I tell clients. I had to realize for myself. I talk to clients a lot about telling their stories, even those stories that might be hidden, or those stories that might be maybe difficult to tell or bring up some of their vulnerabilities. And I tell them that if you share stories about yourself, and you can do it in varying degrees, but if you share those hidden stories, you're connecting with your audience, you're sharing your knowledge, your expertise, you're more trustworthy and more credible to your audience, depending on how you share and how you craft that message.
So is it easy for them to share? How do you get them to crawl out of their shell and share?
That's a great question. No, it's often not easy for them to share. And that's often why they come to me in the first place, because perhaps they are experts who have a lot of knowledge to share, and they know a lot. They're brilliant at what they do, and yet they're not necessarily so brilliant at figuring out right off the bat, or getting into the habit, because I know you talk a lot about habits.
Yes.
And one habit to get into is to think about what it is that your audience is looking for, what it is that your audience wants to see, hear, find out about, and why. Thinking about it from their perspective rather than your own. Because the number one mistake that I see business owners making today, as far as their marketing and their writing, is writing sales content and focusing on the sales and not focusing on what their audience actually needs.
That
Or
is so
what they're,
crazy.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
just had that. I just heard that today in a workshop with WPN, who we are both members of and love very much. And that is what they said that you. And then I had a consulting call with Sony Jackson. I know you know Sony Jackson. And she told me the same thing. She looked at my content. She said, but this is all about you. Your client needs to know that you're talking to them, that what you're giving them is for them. They need to see themselves in your content. And I always say, well, that's why I'm hiring you. Because I'm a techie. I'm a grunge worker. I'm a techie. I love the tech world. And when it comes to the content writing, I want to write a flamboyant fairy tale about everything. And, to be a PR person, a person who can put content in perspective to capture your audience and to gain their confidence and their trust. Because most of the time, what we are providing for them will help them, will benefit them, will make their business more successful. But in gaining their engagement and their buy-in, we have to do what it's hard for me to do, except for if I'm standing in front of you and we're talking. I'm good at that, because then I get into the individual person. It's like podcasting without going live. Like, I do better when I can see Krista than I do when I can't.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
So you talk about telling stories and telling your story and being vulnerable. give us a little background on you, especially skiing blind. Okay.
So when I first found out about I'll do the skiing first and kind of go back to the how I kind of got going with telling my story in a little bit. But when I first found out about blind skiing, I was like, no, that's not possible for me, especially not me, not Krista. I can't ski. So what turned that around, and because that's a great example of something that I really thought wasn't possible, and yet it was possible. And what turned that around is that I actually found people who've already skied blind, and I found
Wow.
instructors that taught people who skied blind. So all of a sudden, when you expand your horizons and meet new people or find out about people and kind of look into it and discover what they've done, then all of a sudden your world opens up. That's certainly what I found.
That is miraculous. The idea that there is someone out there that actually teaches someone who is blind to ski is it's not something that you think about every day.
No,
But
and I
broadening
went,
horizons will do it. So
yeah.
how is it on the slopes blind?
So it's an amazing feeling. Of course, it's scary at first, and I still have that kind of fear because I'm only a beginner. I'm not a professional, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and I certainly fall plenty of times, and then I get back up again, and they'll help me out and support me, and um, they're actually ski guides. So you've got the people teaching you to ski, and then there are also ski guides that actually go with you and stand around you. So one of your guides might be your instructor, and you might have another guide kind of spotting you and making sure that you're not going to hit anything, that you have a nice wide berth to
Right.
ski, because that's really important when you can't see. And they're calling out directions. So left
Oh,
and right
nice.
and straight and good, good, good. And a little right.
Nice. We all need that in every facet of our life. And my hat's off to you. You're very courageous. I can see, and I'm not skiing. So
Well,
I,
that's
I,
part of
I'm,
what helped me to be able to tell my story and to be able to share my blindness in a positive way, is that I started skiing around the same time as I started my business, interestingly enough.
wow.
And when I started to do that, and I also take martial arts as well. So when I realized, oh, I'm doing these different things that a lot of sighted people don't try, even though I may not be good at them, well, a lot of sighted people don't even try them. A lot of blind
Exactly.
people don't even try them. So therefore, I can now talk about my blindness and my hobbies in a positive way and bring up the blindness and make it fun, because that's really what it's about. It's about taking your challenges and what happens in your life and turning them into triumph and sometimes fun.
Okay. So, listeners, please hear this. Please hear this. Krista is living life, and she is trying things that she's frightened to try, but to live, to enjoy, to conquer, to challenge yourself, to be authentic and vulnerable. She is prime example. We thank you for being an example of bringing it, because just like you said, until someone else does it, other people are frightened that they can't do it. And we have some comments. Philomena. Do you know Philomena?
I do.
Love
Hi,
Philomena.
Philomena.
She
Nice to
says,
see you.
Krista helped me create wiser words for my coaching marketing material. Krista is very authentic and easy to work with. And she sent you hugs and kisses.
Oh, thank you. It's so nice to hear from you.
And then she says, you have inspired her. She said, Krista, you have inspired me. Since meeting you at Level Up in New York. She says she loves your approach to doing something scary, regardless of the activity, right, Philomena? And she says to me, Terry, so happy to have found you. You are a very trusted partner who believes in my vision and my purpose for sharing my passion as a wellness advisor and coach. And she's fabulous. She's fabulous. We are working on a presentation that she has to do on Wednesday, and it's going to be mind blowing. So anyone who gets a chance to attend her conference and hear her speak, it's going to be a treat. It's going to be mind blowing. Thank you, Philomena. We love you.
And if anyone has any questions too that's watching, feel free to ask.
Oh, yeah. Definitely put your questions in the chat.
Because I know
Definitely.
this is going to be on a replay on Facebook, and
It is.
then
It's
of course it's going to be your podcast and
YouTube.
and
Yes. And
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn and Instagram. Yes. All those favorite places. So you speak of being scared as a kid. Tell us about that.
So when I was a kid, I was even more cautious than I am now. I was very afraid to just go out there and do things. I kind of stayed in my comfort zone, and one day, and also I was having panic attacks about walking by myself alone. So one day I realized that, I mean, it was, of course, time in the making, but I realized that in order for me to do anything in life, I was going to need to go places and do things, and I was going to have to be able to travel alone. Otherwise, how else was I going to be able to get anywhere? You know, we don't all come with
Right.
ready-made assistance.
Right.
So I went out there with a travel training instructor for the blind, and I knew the route around my block, and it was a quiet suburban street, and yet I
Nice.
had these crazy thoughts in my head. Oh, well, what if somebody bad comes along, and what if I get hit by a car, even though it's a
Yes.
quiet street and I know how to cross the street? Oh, well, what if what if the driver's not looking? You know, what if
Right.
I mean, just like, everything that could possibly come into my head came into my head. And at one point, it was time for the travel training instructor to literally drive away so that I could face my fear and walk without her there.
Wow. No.
So I started hyperventilating, and that heat throughout my whole body, like that. I don't know if you've ever felt it. It's like this adrenaline sensation. And what ultimately happened is I ran home.
Oh, no. You ran home?
I was heading home. I was heading back.
Okay.
So we were out, and then she drove away. She drove away and said, "Okay, go back."
And you made it.
Right, and
And nothing happened.
Right, I ran back, and everything was fine. And just the fact that I did that, and that
How
made a big
old were you?
difference.
Do you remember how old you were?
I was about 13.
Oh, you were a teenager.
I was, and I was at the
Okay.
stage where it's like, I can't have this anymore.
Well, give us a tip for first. I'm going to ask for several tips from you. Okay. Give us a tip for gaining courage and stifling the mental chaos to move forward in challenges. Just give us
So
one tip.
for me, I think research is really important. Going out there and gaining confidence by gaining knowledge,
Oh,
and
that's
also
good.
building on previous successes. So sometimes it's a little step. If you're afraid to walk around the block, maybe it's, well, I walked down the street,
Right.
the step.
Yeah, that's good. Research, knowledge, one baby step at a time. Okay, so here's my other question or tip I'd like for you to give our audience. A PR tip.
So aside from making sure you know what your audience wants to hear, it's actually very similar for reporters. A lot of times people will send one pitch out there to every reporter they've ever heard of, and they wonder how come no one's covering their story. And what I explain to them is, and what I help them understand is that when you are promoting your story, you need to make sure that you also put yourself in the reporter's shoes. So a lot of what I do is looking up, researching reporters, reading what they're writing, finding out who covers what, customizing based on a certain angle that I know a reporter's interested in, or doing a trend story that includes
Wow.
my client with other competitors, or all of these different. So it's not just, hey, here I am, I'm so
Right.
great.
Which is what we think a press release is. Look what we did. Look what we did. Look, 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 look.
Right. No, it's having a pitch that says, "Hi, so and so. I'm so glad I read your story about such and such because and here's a similar story." Things like that. Kind of like looking at, why is this reporter interested? Why is this editor interested?
Did you hear the listeners? She not only gave us a tip, she gave us the secret sauce. Thank you, Krista. Oh, we got a question. Oh, from Philomena. Any suggestions for how long an effective sales letter should be?
That's a good question. A sales letter is a little bit different for different types of products. I find that a course or something that is longer form deserves a longer sales letter, versus if you're just trying to get somebody to sign up for your email list, they may want a shorter letter. Sometimes if people are selling a higher priced product, or if people are, it depends on the level of commitment that you're looking for from your prospects. If you want more commitment from them, they may need to build up trust in you. They may be scrolling down because they're looking for something specific. Oh, wait, does the course cover this? Oh, let me look at it. Let me look at the syllabus. It's not called that in the sales letter, but let me
Right.
look for the all the different bullet points of the different modules. Module
Yeah.
this, module that. Oh, do I find what I want? Oh, here it is.
Okay. Yeah.
You
So
know,
you put that in a sales letter.
right, or maybe they're looking for testimonials and you have a lot of them, but you forgot to include them in your sales letter. Or maybe they're looking for, so it depends on, so the more that they might be looking for and the more that you have to offer them and the more commitment that you want from them, then you can start to extend that sales letter, that landing page, and make it longer,
Great.
if that makes
Philomena
sense.
says great insights. That was great insights, wasn't it, Philomena? That was, there's so many things. I've been in business for a long time, and I know where my strengths and weaknesses are, and I know my weakness is in content, PR, and marketing. For myself, I do quite well for others, and I do collaborate with people who know. I think I got me a new collaboration partner in Krista. Well, that was my inside voice. But you bring out a lot of things that I've never thought of. You are the expert of wise words that matter. Can we find you on wisewords.matter.com?
You can. You can also find me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/wise words that matter. And that will bring you to my Facebook Live that I do every Wednesday at 3 p.m. And I'm also, I do webinars as well. I'm working with a local marketing consortium. We do a volunteer project to help people here on Long Island who are struggling with the COVID crisis and its related shutdowns. So we've been doing webinars every week. And
Nice.
that's a wonderful project I'm so grateful that I got to be a part of that, because it's a whole bunch of us marketing professionals coming together that some of us would normally compete with each other. And yet we're all coming together in the spirit of collaboration
Nice.
and putting things together that are not even necessarily our clients, just people who need something for free now because they're hurting.
Yes. And I don't think that we can ever compete because we're all so unique. And, we talk about competitors, but what makes you choose one over another is something unique. It's not the same. So I don't think that we can ever compete. Oh, Philomena says, congratulations, Krista. Such a worthy purpose.
Thank you very much. I
She's
appreciate
looking forward to applying the suggestions. We're not
Oh,
giving you any more, Philomena. That's enough. You know where to find Krista, and so does everyone else. Wise words that matter. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
We
you so much.
give
And you can sign up for my email list on the website, and you can get my free guide about the 7 budget eating, marketing, and PR mistakes to avoid. And by learning what to avoid, you'll also learn what you can do to prevent them.
I'm going on there and get that. That sounds great.
All right.
And anyone who's listening, there will be a script in the podcast so that you can pick up all these nuggets and listen to the podcast. It will end up on 18 podcast directories, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Google Podcasts, which a lot of people don't even know Google has a podcast.
I didn't know.
Everybody's getting in the game now, and we're putting it everywhere. So Krista is going to be what I say sprinkled across the universe. So go get you some Krista. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to our continued friendship.
Thank you, Terry Lynn.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye now.
I want to thank you for listening because this podcast is for you. And don't forget to get your listening gift. You can go to listeninggift.com. That's LISTENING gift.com. Compliments and constructive criticism are welcome. If there is anything you would like me to talk about, just hit me up. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn at Coach Terry Lynn. That is Coach T as in Tom, ERRILYNN. And remember, create habits and outstanding success with us right here on Chaos.